Hello everyone. So this week was very special. This week we had transitioned to a live account. As you can see, I took 2 live trades on this account, one with USD CHF and one with GBP JPY. I lost one, won the other one, ended up with a 0.5 hour positive for the week. Could have been a close call for a 3-hour positive week as well, and let me show you how the week went. So the first trade was on USD CHF, 4-hour as higher time frame and 15-minute for the lower time frame. Let me just reset the chart the way I saw it when I came in. Showing you the higher time frame first, the 4-hour. When I got the signal, this is how there was a higher time frame order block on 4 hours sitting here, and this was an order block sitting inside the discount of the overall range of the overall previous week range, and looked like a good order block to trade with. There was definitely liquidity below there. You can see that like there's a old low that could be taken out, but my anticipation was price will come in, mitigate this order block and move towards equilibrium. That was my trade setup. Now let's see how it played out on the lower time frame. So when I came to this trade, the signal had shown me something like this, where a swift down move was taken out by a very rapid up move. This was based on our newer lower time frame entry criteria. I started searching for the elements. I found that there was an order block sitting here which was unmitigated, and then there was a fair value gap as well, where the low of this candle did not meet the high of this candle, so there was a valid fair value gap sitting here as well. And this seemed like a good trade to take. It was a fair bit away from any other bearish structure as well. So I waited, and as per our new entry criteria, we are waiting for +1 candle. So we let this candle print, which confirmed that there was a lower time frame order block and a fair value gap left over in this structure. And then we kept expanding basically our range to understand where is equilibrium and where we would like to take the trade. This large rectangle is from the higher time frame order block, and this was the trade zone that I had set up for myself to take the trade. Now let's see what happened. Price came down. This is where price started coming down. So this was the peak formation high and the highest point in the range, and I saw this order block forming. So I knew that at this order block an exit has to happen because it is now forming the opposite side of the range. Fair enough. Price came in and gave me an entry. I took a lower time frame entry on 1 minute for the purpose of this discussion. I'll not share here, but this is how the setup was, and I was long now in this candle. My anticipation was to basically exit the full trade at 1.5 hour at the touch of this order block, this yellow order block, which did happen, but it happened a little bit different than how I anticipated. Price came in, gave us a very good rebound, headed for the highs, just touched the order block, but did not give us the exit. And this was purely because of the spread on this instrument. I did not get an exit. I was not anticipating this clean a touch of the order block. My anticipation was at least it will go in higher, and the moment it would have gone in higher, it would have given me an exit. At this point, I'm in UTC -7 time zone. It was 4:45 a.m. my time. I was sleeping. There was nothing I could do. I got an entry on this trade at 2:30 a.m. my time, just after London Open, and after I got the entry, I went back to sleep. This was definitely a learning from previous time, that make sure I get the correct entry, which I did. But then we got punished for not watching our exit happening properly. Went to the target, but then just did not reach the exact exit that I had set up. Price came back in, tried once more, but then just collapsed. So I'm happy with this trade. This was a good loss. My stop loss was hit at this point. As you can see, this is where my stop loss was. This was a good loss because everything worked as expected. Everything, analysis, how the lower time frame entry criteria helped us to understand where the entry happened, to judge the quality of the setup. Everything worked, but then obviously we got punished here, which is fine. We'll learn. Fair enough. Let's show you the second trade. So this was a -1 hour loss. Let's go to the second trade. The second trade was on GBP/JPY, and obviously I had seen this happening, so I had a very clear idea in my mind that I'm not going to let this happen again. When I came to GBP/JPY, this was the setup, where you can ignore the stop loss and target lines, but again an order block had been created, and the order block was sitting in the discount of the range of the previous week range, in the upper quadrant, in the upper half of this discount range. This was a good, decent order block to take. It had also taken out liquidity from here. If I just delete this for a second, you can quickly see that as we classify this on Discord, this was a PPDD order block, where it took liquidity here from this old low and then made an order block. These are some of the very potent order blocks that you can find to trade with, and so I was actually very happy that this is a PPDD order block, and my objective was basically to go in and trade it on lower time frame. Let's see how that panned out. So when I came to this trade, when it was a notification on Discord, this is how the setup had looked. So the week had opened here. The last previous 4-hour candle had closed here, and this is the new 4-hour candle, the mitigation candle on the 4-hour. And price came in, took out this liquidity, and created a breaker structure here. Not only that it was a breaker, it was a very swift order block. It also took out liquidity, so you can see there's a PPDD order block signature here as well. And based on our lower time frame entry criteria, this was a very good setup, because there's an order block, there's a fair value gap, and there's only one candle that took out the entire breakup structure, that made the breakup structure. So this is a very swift move. That means there was a lot of limit orders resting here that got executed when this happened, and this was awesome. So I basically then waited for the next candle to come in and tag this fair value gap. That gave me a range to work with, that confirmed the fair value gap, and I basically set up my trade box like the way you see this dark rectangle. Now again on this trade as well, I took the entry on a lower 1 minute time frame breakup structure that basically gave me an entry somewhere here, but that was fine because my exit was also expected to be close here as well. So we basically waited, got an entry here. You can see in this candle I was tagged into an entry on the higher time frame somewhere over here. Let me see if I can go to 1 minute time frame here and show you quickly where my entry was. On the lower 1 minute time frame, you can see when this candle printed, the one where I've tagged the 1 minute entry, it created the lower time frame breakup structure, and I entered with a limit. I entered actually with a market order this time. I'll explain the details maybe in a future video on how this worked. So I was tagged into entry here, my target was here, and my stop loss was here. And let's see how this played out. So I was watching this high. This was the first target. Obviously I didn't want to take any partials here because I anticipated that price is going to run into these equal highs here and give an entry somewhere here. But when I saw, let me rewind back one more candle. When I saw this large green candle forming, I was a little bit worried, but I still stuck to, this large orange candle forming. I was a little worried, but I still stuck to the plan. And this candle gave me the confidence that my analysis is correct, because now there's a bullish structure, and on the retest of this bullish structure, there's another bullish structure forming. And we want to see these bullish structures getting stacked on top of each other. That means buyers are getting into the market and taking the price higher. Now this was a very clear target. I was no longer worried about price reacting to this old high and then rejecting from there. It could have, but my anticipation was then this bullish structure, which is actually a breaker in itself, is going to hold the price. So boom, I exited the trade fully here at 1.5 hour. I mean, in hindsight, I could have held the trade. Obviously this was the low of the range, but you don't know that when you're in the trade. I mean, this is all hindsight. So some of the learnings from this week were, and I documented these learnings in the Discord as well, that because I transitioned to a live account, and this was practically my first week with the live account, on this live account, there was a lot of pressure to get these first few trades right. I did not want to start the new account in a negative, and I had actually missed three profitable trades on Monday and Tuesday because I just couldn't get myself to enter the trade. And I anticipate this is the anxiousness of every trader going live, that they obviously don't want to start account with a negative balance. But nevertheless, I got myself around and was able to take the trades. This week could have ended with 3 hour, but it ended with 0.5 hour because obviously we had a loss-making trade on USD CHF. Now, one of the learnings from this USD CHF trade was that I need to be able to see the entry and exit, and for that to happen, I have to be in front of the computer. Now, with the DST, the daylight saving changing again, the London Open has actually become very late for my time zone, and I document this point here, where I'm on the West Coast, US West Coast. So when London Open happens, it's 1 a.m. my time. That means for any setup to show, it's practically, it'll at least take 5 to 6 candles, so it's 2:30 a.m. by the time the setup shows. And in fact, if I go back to USD CHF, that's exactly what happened. So if I bring back the price to when the setup had formed, and you can see why this was a problem. The setup had formed at 12:45 a.m. my time, but by the time I got entry into this setup, entry happened here, which is 2:30 a.m. Now, if you're taking an entry at 2:30 a.m. and expecting the trade to run for a couple of candles, you can anticipate that when the trade actually gets to your targets, it's going to be even later that time. So for example, here when the trade was reaching my target, it was 4:45 a.m. There was no way I could have been awake to watch this trade getting a proper exit. I could have taken an exit here. I could have taken an exit at 1 hour, but that's not possible when you're sleeping. So that means, and obviously it messes up with your sleep cycle as well. You can't be, if you're trading a London session every day from the West Coast, that means you're awake at least till 1. That's when the work begins. And to fully complete trades, you need to be awake till at least 3 a.m., 4 a.m. your time. That is not scalable. Somebody who has a day job, somebody who has to look after kids, family, work in the morning, basically live their life in the next day, waking up every day till 3-4 a.m. is not scalable and not healthy either. So that's why I've decided to make a change from next week onwards, and this is something I documented as well, that I'm going to be taking more advantage of the New York session than the London session. Basically, purposefully miss all the trades of the London session, but sleep through that time, so that I can wake up at 9 a.m. Eastern, 6 a.m. Pacific, and look at all the New York session trades more effectively. Basically, be more watchful and aware at that time. That'll give me less trades to work with, but at least I'll not make these mistakes where I'm either sleeping through the setup or the entry or the exit. That was also a good learning this week. Well, I'll share more videos about rejection blocks and other things later. We also have a new indicator coming. Our folks from our Discord have worked really hard on that indicator to make that better. Kudos to them. So that work is also coming soon. We'll make a new video about that as well, and talk to you all later. Take care. Bye.